Hi, I'm Jillian Tinkel, and this is my reflection video for my special education critical reflection portfolio for the high incidence program at Fort Hays State University. As I reflect back on all of my practices and teaching, and when it really started for me was, maybe in elementary school, I always wanted to be in some type of helping profession, whether it was teaching or medical. I was not ever really sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to help people. As I got into high school and there was more emphasis on where do you want to go in life? Where do you want to go to college? What do you want to do? Those kind of things. I really started to think about the profession of maybe social work or psychology, something of that sort. I went to Kansas State University and started majoring in psychology. Although I loved helping people in that profession, I just didn't have a passion or drive that I needed to feel successful in that way. So I switched majors and I went into social work. Although I loved it, the traumatic side of it I just couldn't handle. I felt like I needed to save every kid. And it was heartbreaking, and I just knew that's not something I could do every day for the rest of my life. So I switched gears and graduated with a family studies major from Kansas State University and wasn't really happy. So one of my friends was in the speech pathology courses, and everything she said just intrigued me. Like, I wanted to help people, and how cool was it to work with little kids and be in that atmosphere. So I dove into the world of speech pathology. I loved it. I loved every aspect of working with kids. I loved learning about disabilities. I loved learning about all of these different techniques that you could use to help teach, really. So I graduated from Kansas State University with a degree in communication sciences and disorders, and there I was again. I wasn't in love with it. I just didn't have the passion. So I started working with a family during my speech undergrad who had a little boy with autism. And this is where my passion grew. I fell in love. And I worked as an assistant behavior therapist on his home team for 6 years. And I loved it. I loved just being in the world of special education. I did home programming. I went to school with him, spent summers with him, went on vacations, anything possible just to dive into his world. In that role, I worked with a doctor who was a behavior analyst who gave me the opportunity to be her assistant. So I got to go in on many different programs and many different kids and just learn, help others learn, and to develop these different programs for so many different kids with so many different varying disabilities that I loved it. I knew special education is where my heart was and where I needed to be. So after taking a turn, I went into the general education setting. I taught first grade for 2 years, and I loved it. I loved having kids in my classroom. I loved having kids with disabilities in my classroom, but I needed to be a special education teacher. And a position in my school opened up, and I jumped on it. I was so excited. I loved being there. I loved everything about it. And so reflecting back, I just knew my heart was always there to help people. And most importantly, it was there to help the kids. And I have found my true passion and where I need to be as a teacher. So that's really rewarding. My beliefs have changed a little bit. My first year in special education, I thought this is going to be fantastic. I'm going to have a group of professionals surrounding me every day. We're going to bounce ideas off of each other. We're going to be able to reflect on all of our kids and, kind of come together as a team. And that wasn't the case. I had teachers, general education teachers, I had some related service providers that really pushed back. And once I have my heart set on something, I tend to jump and go for it and try to do what is absolutely best for my student at the time, any paras or staff working with that kid, and most important, the family. At the end of the day, these kiddos have to go home with the skills that we've taught them and transfer them into their home settings. And that by far is one of the most important skills we can teach at school, is the transfer to home. The other most important thing that I always believed was parent relationships. Working on in-home programs, I was with the parents every day. Sometimes they were watching me, sometimes I was watching them and giving them feedback, and I felt like that was something I wanted to bring into my classroom. So there were some parents who were so receptive, who came into my classroom, who watched me work, who worked right alongside of me to develop plans and reward systems. And then there were some parents who really didn't. And to me, that was a little heartbreaking. I wanted to be able to teach these kids the skills at school to transfer into home, to transfer into community, to transfer into every setting of their life, where some of these parents were just ready to get rid of their kiddos for 8 hours a day so they could have a break. I truly understand that, but we can't be successful at school if they can't be successful at home. So I spent a lot of time with some families just building those relationships of how important the transfer at home and school is. And there were some breakthroughs, and there weren't, and that's okay. My role as a special education teacher is to keep them successful at school, and then if the parents are willing and able, to transfer it at home, and that's the best I can do. So I think that was the hardest thing for me, is having some parents who were on board and willing to do anything and everything that we discussed as a team and asked. And then there were some parents just who weren't, and that's okay. It's going to happen. So that's one thing I've had to learn, that things aren't always going to go the way you hope, but in time, it'll work out. So my new ideas and directions, I believe that every single kid can learn, regardless of disability, regardless of setback, regardless of home life, whatever it may be. These kiddos were brought to me and my team for a reason, and we are here to celebrate them. Their life has been hard from day one, most likely, and we are here to show them that, one, they're unique, and we're going to be here to support them in every aspect, whether it be social, whether it be learning, whether it be building peer relationships, helping them with fine motor skills, gross motor skills, whatever it is, we're here to support them, to build them, and celebrate their successes with them. And I feel like that starts with love. If these kiddos come to school and they feel the love and the passion that we have for them, then they're going to strive and they're going to grow, and that every day is the best thing ever for these kiddos. So, there's challenges every day, whether you have a disability or you don't. As teachers, we have some kind of challenge every day. Being in special education and having paras who you're in charge of, that's a challenge in itself. So there's so many things that us as adults take on challenges and roll with the punches. These kids are right there with us. Their challenges and their disabilities are just a whole different realm, and they've got to roll with the punches that way. So in a way, we have some of the same challenges, we just face them differently, and that's how our kids face their challenges. So as I reflect back on this program and, everything I've learned, the most important thing is observation. Going through Fort Hays State University and having the opportunity to observe the high school level, observe at the middle school level. I work in a K through 2 school, so I get the littles all day long. And having the opportunity to work on transition plans that I've never been faced with was an awesome and very eye-opening experience. Just observing in different classrooms, behavior classrooms, high need classrooms, low academic classrooms, everything throughout Fort Hays has pushed me out of my bubble of these littles into the high school realm or the middle school realm that I wouldn't have branched out otherwise. So that's really rewarding and exciting for me to know I have a little bit of background in every realm of special education. So I graduated last May with my degree in administration, and my hope after this is to become the director of special education for multiple reasons. One is to support special education teachers. Being in the classroom, I didn't realize how much support I would need from administration and some of the lack of it. Our director sometimes is there for us and sometimes is not. And I want to be that go-to for my teachers. Special education is hard. There's no other way to put it. It's hard, it's stressful, it's time consuming. There's so many different things that special education is that as a director, I want to be that go-to for my teachers, as well as the parents. I want the parents to come to me and say, hey, I have this idea. Is there any way that maybe we could try it? I want them to come to me with open arms, open ideas, all different types of things to help their kids succeed in any way we can. So moving on, I just want to be the best I can be in special education and the best I can be for my team, my staff, or anybody who needs any support or ideas in the realm of special education. So that's my critical review. Thank you for listening.